a Musical Instrument by Elizabeth Barrett Browning. What was he doing, the great god Pan, down in the reeds by the river, spreading ruin and scattering ban, splashing and paddling with hooves of a goat, and breaking the golden lilies afloat with the dragonfly on the river? He tore out a reed, the great god Pan, from the deep cool bed of the river. The limpid water turbidly ran, and the broken lilies a-dying lay, and the dragonfly had fled away, ere as he brought it out of the river. High on the shore sate the great god Pan, while turbidly flowed the river, and hacked and hewed as a great god can, with his hard bleak steel at the patient reed, till there was not a sign of leaf indeed, to prove it fresh from the river. He cut it short, did the great god Pan, how tall it stood in the river, then drew the pith like the heart of a man, steadily from the outside ring, and notched the poor dry empty thing in holes as he sate by the river. This is the way, laughed the great god Pan, laughed while he sate by the river. The only way, since gods began, to make sweet music they could succeed. Then dropping his mouth to a hole in the reed, blew in power by the river. Sweet, 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 O Pan, piercing sweet by the river. Blinding sweet, O great god Pan, the sun on the hill forgot to die, and the lilies revived, and the dragonfly came back to dream on the river. Yet half a beast is the great god Pan, to laugh as he sits by the river, making a poet out of man. For the true gods sigh for the cost and pain, for the reed which grows nevermore again, as a reed with the reeds in the river.
Okay, so today I will be annotating a musical instrument by Elizabeth Barrett Browning. I'll be using the tip-fast method, so starting from the top, we'll talk about the title. So the title is a musical instrument, so I would imagine that this will be musical in some kind, or about a musical instrument, or maybe something to do with music and melody, and we know that some songs can be poems, so this could be very musical. The poem itself could be. So then we'll move on to P, which is paraphrase. So this poem is about the half-god, demigod, Pan. And basically he goes down to a river, and he splashes and he spreads destruction in it. He's half god, but he's also half goat, so his feet crush everything in the beautiful waters and forces the animal to leave, a dragonfly specifically. And then he takes out a reed. He cuts holes in it to make a flute. And so he laughed as he sat on the riverbank, proceeded to play it, and the music was so sweet and beautiful that the dragonfly came back, the water lilies came back to life, and the sun didn't set because it was so beautiful. But Pan was half animal, and so the true gods were really upset and sad for the loss of the reed, because that reed will never come back. So that's basically the gist of what the poem is about. Next, F, figurative language. So there's quite a bit, and we can also talk about the poetic structure, which will go along the line with repetition. So obviously Pan is at the end of the first line of every single stanza. So obviously our main character here is the great god Pan, which is repeated many times. The great god Pan, just a lot of repetition. So the second and last line of each stanza ends with the word river. So river, 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 river. And then the third line of each stanza ends with a word that rhymes with Pan. So we have A, B, A, C, C, B. So it's a weird setup, but that's how it is every single time. A, B, A, C, C, B. So that's our ABACCB. That's the pattern all the way down. So yeah, so we see that is our poetic structure. And also there is an oxymoron. Two words basically, I mean, completely opposite things are in one thing together. When he says the limpid water turbidly ran. Limpid means clear, and turbid means muddy. So we see that oxymoron there. Basically means the significance of this one is that art has a beautiful and a destructive side. Even though he's making something for it to become beautiful, he's also wrecking this water. Even though it's beautiful, he's wrecking it because, like it says, he is half goat. Also, there is simile. Then drew the pith like the heart of a man. So basically, he's taking the heart of the reed out, just like a man would, just like you take out the heart of a man. So the heart of the reed was taken, just like the heart. If a heart of a man was taken, it kind of loses its life, loses its soul. We also see more repetition with sweet, 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 O Pan, and then piercing sweet, blinding sweet. Is piercing and blinding sweet can be said to be hyperboles, over exaggerations, and this is the point in the poem where he discusses the sound of the flute. He says piercing sweet, blinding sweet. These are hyperboles because here he's discussing the beautiful sound of the flute, and it's very much exaggerated. Also, the sun on the hill forgot to die. This is personification. Obviously, a sun can't die like a human can. But he's saying that the flute was so beautiful that even the sun forgot to set. Moving on to A, the attitude. So this, to me, what the vibe that I got from this was that this is very much like someone telling a story. And at the beginning, it's kind of crazy because we have this god who's half goat. So he's very much... He's wrecking things in order to get this reed. It's very chaotic and very aggressive sounding, especially when he uses words like hacked and hewed, hard, bleak steel on a patient reed. So it's just really rough things happening. The dragonfly had fled away. Broken lilies lines a dying lay. So this is very negative. And, because even here, spreading ruin, scattering bands, splashing and paddling with hooves of a goat, breaking the golden line. So all of these things lead toward a negative attitude toward what he's doing. But then also, moving on to the next S, which is shifts, we have the shift here as soon as he blows into the flute. This is where the sound changes. Sweet, 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 sweet. The lilies were revived. The dragonfly came back to dream on the river. So this is where we see the shift is in this, because the diction completely changes. And this is a more positive spin. But then here we see kind of a shift back to this, but it's not as aggressive. We see the sadness of the gods here, because the true gods sigh for the cost and the pain, for the reed which grows never more again. So even though he brought back all these other things, this reed is still going to be dead because he took the heart from it. And so we can go back to the title. And the title, obviously, this is not just about a musical instrument. This is about the creation of this musical instrument and what destruction it took to get this reed and the beautiful sound of the reed, of the flute. And so the theme, the overall message is that beauty can come from destruction. However, that destruction can never really be replaced again. Even though it can bring something beautiful, you can't replace what you lost. And so that is my annotation of A Musical Instrument by Elizabeth Barrett Browning.